Perhaps many of you that have studied the great and late martial arts master Bruce Lee remember one of the sayings that he made very popular, and that was simply this: a punch is just a punch, and a kick is just a kick. And at some point, he said, "Oh, a punch is not a punch, nor is a kick a kick." And then later, he found out that a punch is just a punch, and a kick is just a kick. What exactly does this mean? Maybe philosophically and literally. Well, I noticed something throughout my martial arts career. You have individuals that admire other people who have achieved a station in life as it relates to martial arts. Now, this can apply to anything virtually. So we're talking about martial arts right now. For example, during the Bruce Lee era, there were many people who wanted to be like Bruce Lee, and they wanted to mimic, note word mimic. They wanted to copy by rote what they saw Bruce Lee doing, and not just him, but many other martial arts masters and practitioners over the years, past 50, 60 years. They see them running a kata or form, and they would go through the same motions, the routines. They would see them executing certain techniques, and they would copy that as well. But did they really fully comprehend or understand what was being done and how to get the best out of those techniques that they were so fond of or thought that they were actually perfecting? You see, real perfection, if you want to use that word perfection, through martial arts comes through repetition. And after a while, that repetition becomes part of your muscle memory. Your body knows it. It's never questioned anymore. It becomes natural. Japanese have an expression, mushin, notion, mind of no mind, which means that when you are in a situation of confrontation, you respond and not just simply react. You respond. And I use the expression, one of my more popular expressions is, when my opponent attacks me, I consider it as them asking me a question. My response, from a self defense standpoint, is the answer to their question. So if you draw your hand back and you throw a punch at me, for example, that's the question. You say, now what are you going to do? In other words, I respond, Tan Sao and Chung Choi, for example. Now I'm breaking that down for the purpose of this video. Here, Tan Sao and Chung Choi. So you punch is done together. Simultaneous attack and defense. That's the answer to what you just did. Coupled with maybe a multitude of other techniques after that. So your question, you grab me, spear hand to the eye, elbow, and maybe a chop. That's the answer. You get what I'm saying now. But anyway, as it relates to a punch being a punch and a kick being a kick, Bruce Lee said early on that it seemed to be a punch and a kick just because I'm executing it, seemingly. But when he realized that there was a science behind it, there's something that makes it work. And not only work, but work more effectively when you understood the mechanics to get the best results. For example, when you punch, let's say Gwai Choi, Korean, Kapwan, or Eurasian Japanese, back fist, boom, here. Anyone can go through the motion. This is that. But do you understand the science behind it? Do you understand the physics behind it? First of all, you can't be tense or rigid because you impede your speed. You have to learn how to relax. That's part of it. What's relaxation? Relaxing the muscles and be as if you were a whip, relaxed. Here, go through the motion first, slowly. Teach it to your mind what you're doing. Okay? Shoulder relaxed, your mind calm but ready. Here, go through the motion. Hand not clenched tight but slightly loose. Here, the impact is the result of the speed by the relaxation, and you must exhale. Here, practice it again and protecting at the same time. Pick it up a little bit. Here, then that. Done over and over again. And there's more that can be added to this, but I'm just generally speaking. But you must learn the mechanics. And that's the difference in knowing something and not truly knowing something. You see, if you go through a punch as a martial arts master or instructor, and someone who's a layperson standing off to the side watches you, and they say, oh, that's all he did was just this. Was it really? Why is it so fast? Why is it elusive? Why does it look so simple when he does it? Because he understands, or whoever he is or she, they understand the science behind it. Back fist, reverse punch. Here and there. There's a reason, there's a science behind it. You don't just copy the motion, right? You need to know what the purpose is. You need to know how to get the best out of the technique. You need to know the angles. You need to know when to throw it and when not to throw it. You need to learn how to not clog your mind with so many techniques and let it happen, as Bruce Lee said in Enter the Dragon. Let it happen all by itself. Mushin notion, as I pointed out earlier. So when someone attacks you, if you practice your throws thousands of times, if you have practiced your punches, your defensive positions, and or your parries, or your deflections, your elbows, your footwork, thousands of times, singularly at first, then against an opponent, slow speed, medium speed, and then combat speed. That is truly the only way that you're going to know if it is indeed effective. But just wishing that it were perfect or near perfect, just assuming that you have it down just because you copy it, causes you to possibly be disillusioned. The only way to perfect anything, the only way to perfect anything is to know how it works. And when you know how it works and you apply it and you, through repetition, develop it to the point where it becomes natural and very natural to you, then and only then a punch is just a punch and still a punch, and a kick is just a punch or a kick and still a kick. I hope you gleaned something from this lesson. A punch is a punch and a kick is a kick only if you understand the science of what makes it work and you apply that same science, not just by simply copying it when you see it. This is Brother Teacher. I'm out.